I'm Mike,
And I'm Amber. Welcome to the Covenant Chronicles,
where we tell you the truth about relationships.
giving you the tools to build the foundation you always needed.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Hi, welcome back.
Driving Amber nuts right now.
Yeah, kinda.
She's asked me a bunch of times to pick what topic we're going to talk about tonight. And we have a little cheat book that as we come up with topics randomly throughout time, we'll write down these ideas so that we can circle back to them so we don't forget them. And she's been asking me for probably 15, 20 minutes now to pick a topic and handed me the book about 4 times. And I'm driving her nuts because I won't grab the book and won't flip through it.
Yeah, because I need to know what we're going to talk about so my brain knows what to talk about.
Easy. We're going to talk about masculine, feminine polarity, but not in a way that we've talked about it before. Because I had a realization today, actually, just a few hours ago, about our relationship and the polarity inside of it, and how it is not something you see a lot inside of relationships. And I feel that it is a huge advantage in a lot of ways.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know where you're going with this.
So it started off, there was I belong to an academy, and there was a post by one of the, I guess, admins, coaches of the academy, whatever you want to call them. And she was talking about kind of this, I guess, boss babe trend, right? Was kind of the summary of the situation. And she was talking about that. And mind you, this is an academy that talks a lot about financial systems, building wealth, building, systems for your money, your investments, your finances, just everything related to that, right? And the whole purpose is to actually build wealth and get your family out of old patterns, right?
Yeah.
And so she had made a post basically talking about polarities, right? She was talking about her perspective coming from a place in which she was single for a while, built her own success, and then shifted into a married relationship, and kind of giving her take on, or at least in my opinion, her take on stepping out of that boss babe masculine energy and basically trying to speak to other women and say, hey, it's okay to let go control inside your relationship. It's okay to let him lead, and all these various aspects of this. And what was really interesting about this is I had gave my 2 cents on it, and she'd come back and basically agreed with what I said. But about 5-6 hours after that occurrence, I was having a conversation with a friend of ours, and I had mentioned, he had kind of asked something personal about himself and gave him the best advice that I could. And I had said, I think that's why I gravitate towards you, is because you and I are in a lot of ways very similar, right? We have some of these same patterns and stuff. And that's why, part of why I gravitate towards you is we're the same in a lot of ways. And some of these patterns aren't the best patterns, right? And that's what we were talking about. And we were talking about being self-aware. And, that's one advantage that we have, is that, we don't always get it right, but we're very self-aware. And I had given an example of our relationship. And I had explained basically how it was around the topic of being an ambitious, lazy person, is what it was titled, which came from somebody else that is a coach, right? And it was going back and listening to a call that we were on as part of that community. Well, we weren't on. It was an old replay, I should say. as part of that community, and they were talking about ambitious, lazy people and kind of what that looks like. And I'd given the example of how it's human to fall into a place of comfortability, right? And we want to fall into a place of comfortability. What is interesting and what I realized when we were having this conversation is women can support you in different ways. And men are supposed to be the leader. They're supposed to be on, their A game. They're supposed to lead the relationship. They're supposed to create a financial and emotional and spiritual safe space for their partner.
Mhm.
But what I realized during this conversation is that women can act in two ways, right? And this is the first time I ever saw, through the eyes of our relationship and seeing what you do, saw where I can genuinely say there is a massive deal or a massive part that women can play in this, right?
Mhm.
And we've had previous podcasts, and if anybody has listened to us for a while or they go back and listen to our other podcasts, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say I'm very hard on men, right? If the relationship's not going right, if stuff is screwed up, I put it on the men because they should be leading by example. They should be taking care of their business. And I can genuinely say that in no case is a man that I've ever seen is a man truly fully in his masculine frame, and the woman is just out doing whatever, right? Because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, and this is where you and I tend to differ because you tend to fall more on the women need to play their part too. And I tend to fall more on the if a man is truly in his masculine frame and handling his business, she's not going to act that way. Or if she does, he won't tolerate it very long, and she's going to either have to step up or not, at which point they'll find their own paths, right?
Yeah.
But I realized something and a different part of this in the sense that you do something in which we've created this polarity, I guess would be the best way to explain this, where we are almost always in the proper frame of energy. You
Mhm.
are almost always in your feminine. I'm always fully in my masculine. We have that polarity, right?
Yeah.
When we start to shift out of this and we start to shift more towards the center line,
Mhm.
I don't even think you realize what you do.
Apparently not.
A lot of women who are used to being in their masculine, when the man varies and he starts to slip towards that center line, she will take over.
Mhm.
She'll jump into her masculine and she will take over.
Mhm.
You don't do that.
Mm.
And I don't even think you're like trying to figure out what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
You are in a place where you have the capability to step up and handle things when you need to.
Mhm.
But in our relationship, you don't take over things that I should be handling. When we start slipping towards that center line, what you do is you come to a certain place and you stop, and you will not go any farther, and you will not step into the masculine side. And if
Mhm.
I start screwing up and I keep you still will not step. And what it does is it creates this, if I slip, you create a wall for me to rebound off of to go back where I belong.
Mhm.
And I came to that realization when I was explaining that you do this, and I'd never really thought about it before, and I'd never thought about our relationship in this manner before, but it's true. And I don't think you even realize that you do it,
No.
but you do. And you create this wall to where, as if I slip for whatever, because at the end of the day, I still stand by, like, if stuff's messed up, it's on the dude. He needs to step up. But we're also human,
Yeah.
right? But part of coming together as partners and part of the having each other's back and working together as a partnership in the manner, and by partnership I mean in the proper roles,
Mhm.
not where everything's completely equal and whatever crap that society tries to feed you.
Mhm.
But I mean, working as a partnership in the manner in which you both are filling in the roles that you are supposed to be in, you are there. And if I start to slip, you create a wall for me to bounce off of. You don't ever allow me to fall into like a feminine energy or to slip to where I'm not handling my stuff. Now there's stuff where, hey, we could be a little better about this, right?
Mhm.
Like maybe I could be chasing our vision a little harder. I've been backing off on that and kind of coasting a little bit lately, and for whatever reason, and we work through that and we move. Or, I could lead better in our physical health department,
Mhm.
or I could do whatever it is, right? But when I start slipping, you don't allow me, you don't come in and take over. If there's something that we're supposed to do, you don't come in and take over because I'm not doing it. You'll be there, you'll be present, you'll try to give me whatever I need for whatever issue that I have going on that's causing me to fall short.
Mhm.
But you don't ever jump in and take over. And it leaves me with the option of, now I want to, I guess, give a little bit of a caveat on this in the sense of like, if I was dying in a hospital bed and it's like, oh crap, bills got to get paid, like you would do what you had to do, right?
Yeah.
But in a daily basis type scenario and in our lives, if there's roles and things that I'm supposed to handle that we have an agreement, or that just as me being the man in the relationship, I'm supposed to handle, you don't come in and handle them.
Mhm.
You let me realize, like, oh shit, like if I don't handle this, we're gonna be in some hot water here pretty quick, and allow me to step up and get back on my game and handle it.
Mhm.
And I've never viewed or really realized that part of our relationship, but I believe that it is part of why we are the way that we are and why we are able to create such a successful relationship together, where we have the closeness and the intimacy and the connection that we do, is because we've built systems and natural tendencies inside of our relationship to where we can, when we are naturally doing the things we need to do and on autopilot, if you will. I don't want to say autopilot because that, I guess, insinuates coasting, which is not the point I'm trying to make. When we're just going through without having to make active choices and think through choices in our relationship, we're just going about what we need to do. We've built this system in which we both operate in the place that we're supposed to be,
Mhm.
and we ground each other in that place. And instead of choosing to jump to the other side to take over the other person's role, we hold that grounding for them to get them back to where they need to be.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying. I guess if I'm taking it maybe for conversations we had today and looking at it from that perspective, I can sort of see that. I think that I guess I've never like thought of it that way or realized it, more so just really seeing it as like that's what should happen when you're in your feminine. Because there are times like you'll talk about things that you're struggling with or whatever the case may be. And yeah, my natural tendency isn't to fix it for you, but I do go through like, okay, well, what's going on? Like, can there be a reason that this particular thing is happening? Have you had a conversation with God about this? Like, do you think this is happening because so and so? Like, I give a lot of guidance or like that, I guess, feminine intuition. I don't know. I don't know if that's it all the time, but just like we're more of the like guider in the relationship, I'd say, whenever we're naturally in our feminine. Like,
Let me give you some context because I know you're like, see, this is the beauty. And I don't think they realize that sometimes when we have these conversations, we're like taking thoughts that we had about our relationship and having these conversations live while we record it
yeah.
and putting it out there, right? So they get to see like how these conversations actually happen. So it has nothing to do with our conversation this morning.
Oh, okay.
It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. It has to do with the specific context in which I was having the conversation was around vision.
Uh-huh.
And to put it on me, we have a vision, right? We've talked about our results board, not our goals board, our results board, just to be clear. We need to fix that. It still says goals. Anyways, we've talked about, we have our goals, our results that we're looking to achieve. If you wonder why I'm calling them results, go back and listen to the other podcast. We did one on this and not using the word goals.
Yep.
So we have our results that we want to achieve. We have our vision board, right? Or a dream board, I guess you could call it.
Yep.
But we have a vision for our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we do talk about it all the time, right? Even joking about it, right?
Yeah.
And we have regular conversations about our vision. There are systems, there are structures in place, there are things that we work on a regular basis to pour into the building of this vision.
Mm-hmm.
And to put it into a visualization, we are building the foundation, right?
Yeah.
So we have this grand masterpiece of a building, like a beautiful masterpiece of craftsmanship and architecture that we have designed for our lives and where we want to be for specific purposes, for our own reasons, for our children,
Yeah.
all that. And we have started pouring the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I were to go into all the details of where we're at, people would probably be lost in just because of the depth of this, right? But at the end of the day, we both are pouring into this vision, building out this foundation.
Yeah.
So the vision that we have, my role in the relationship that we have established is to take care of the financial needs of our house. Part of this financial needs are not just the basics like paying for housing, groceries, gas, utilities, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Part of this is consistently contributing to our vision. You have a role to play in that as well, to help build the systems that in the future will also feed the ecosystem and our vision.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to say start coasting, and there's been times that I have, and I was just basically bare bones, paying bills, living, just basically going day to day just to live to the next day.
Mm-hmm.
You don't step into the other role and start saying, okay, well, I'm going to do stuff that will do more than just pay bills. I'm going to do stuff to have this active pour into our vision. I'm going to do all these things while also taking care of the house, while also helping with the kids, while also going and helping to build the infrastructure that I'm currently building to help build our long-term vision while I'm doing X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
You don't do that. This role to take care of the active day-to-day stuff while we build out our vision, while we build out the infrastructure, while we pour the foundation, because you have a massive role to play in that you have taken on yourself. You don't step into my role and start handling it if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You're there, you'll talk to me, you'll push communication, you'll try to figure out, hey, he's off, why are you off?
Mm-hmm.
You'll do what you can to support me, and you will, how would I put this? You step up your engagement. You step up your involvement in our relationship, in my well-being, in talking about our vision
Mm-hmm.
and my side of the fence, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't ever go and take over these things.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does is it forces a situation where if I don't step up, they just don't get taken care of. So it forces me to say, okay, well, I need to go handle this,
Yeah.
right? I need to go take care of our investments because I've been slacking. I need to take care of, make sure the bills are square, and step up my game to make sure that everything's paid on time and everything's paid in accordance and, possibly even ahead. And I need to make sure that our structures are doing what they're supposed to, and all the different streams that are supposed to flow, whatever directions are flowing with, because that's the role that we've agreed that I play,
Yeah.
that I stepped up to play. And if I don't, it's not going to get done.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking about is how in many relationships, that's not the case, right? If there's assigned roles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or if he has been coasting for so long that she assigned herself roles
Mm-hmm.
that he should at least be a part of, if not taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Most situations like that, either she's just going to keep assigning herself stuff and taking over everything until she's fully in her masculine, or when stuff starts falling apart, she's going to step in and take over his roles. And it's going to become this cycle where, like, she ends up pretty far in her masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's trying to figure herself out. She's trying to do all these things, and she can't figure out what to do or where to go or how to do it. And she's struggling to even find herself.
Yeah.
But you don't do that.
Not anymore.
Well, I mean, you never have for us. I won't say
Uh,
you as a person, but
I think there was a period of time that I did, but I mean, it hasn't been that way for a while. But I also think that took a lot of growth and building on our part. A lot of, I should say, like, I don't know that I'd ever really been in my feminine role or energy much before I got divorced. Like, a little, maybe here and there, but not really, and didn't really even know what that was, to be honest. I think whenever I got divorced, I stepped into my feminine more, but still had to obviously be in my masculine because I was living on my own and like having to take care of bills and, whatever. So, like, there is a part of being in my masculine in that. I think that's just the case when you're a single woman. But there were a lot of things that you have done in our relationship that pushed me more into feeling that feminine energy than I had ever before. I think we went through a period of a really rough season of figuring things out within our relationship, in which I feel as though I was in my masculine a lot during that time.
that's fair.
But
And I would agree with you on that. I believe that was more of the emotional side and us figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't think you have ever stepped into physical roles. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but like if you think about handling stuff since we've been together, like that has always kind of been my role.
Kind of. Like I think there was a short period of time where it was
Transition. Yeah.
just kind of off.
Yeah.
But I would say that within the last year, really, we've taken a lot of time to build our relationship. And I think a lot of that was communication,
Yeah.
setting boundaries with ourselves and with each other, and like really figuring out what our relationship was. And
Mhm.
in that came these roles, right? I think a lot of it was built out of respect for each other, really getting to know each other on a deeper level and having that respect for each other to be like, this is your role, this is mine. I enjoy being in my feminine, you enjoy being in your masculine, and working to make that a permanent thing in our relationship. I don't, like we talk about this, and I don't want it to seem to people like it's super easy. Like, go out and be in your feminine. Like, well, that would be
Yeah.
super cool. It does take work. And when you talk about the man like stepping up and being in his masculine, like there is a large part of feminine energy coming out of that. Like, if you're not at all in your masculine, then there's no way that I or a female could be in their feminine. There's not.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've talked about that before on other podcasts, but I think that's why you talk about being so hard on the guys, is like, if you're not in your masculine and you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, I have no way to be in my feminine and just like step into that, because it does require a level of being relaxed, because anytime females start getting stressed out and being in like that fight or flight mode, they switch to their masculine, right? So if we're like super stressed out, that switches that masculine role on. So when the guys are actually in their masculine and allow women to fall into that role, it's because there's this level of like ease. There's not a lot of like, I don't want to say there's not a lot of stress. I think there's always stress in life to some degree, right? But there's not like a lot of emotional stress. There's just not a lot. I don't want to say that we don't have to worry about, but it's a different type of worry. Like, you're handling the things that, are your roles, and I don't have to worry about those things. So I'm not stepping into that energy of like worrying,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when stuff comes up between us, that might be something that I could potentially step into that worry role, which would put me into the masculine role. I think we've built a relationship where we just communicate about it instead.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can come to you and be like, oh, there's this thing that, could cause potential stress. And you'll be like, don't worry about it, And it's not that like you're not worrying about it, because you are worrying about it.
Yeah.
But it's just not what I need to be worrying about.
Right.
But I also know that you are going to handle it, so I don't actually have to stress about it. Like, I can bring that to you and be like, hey, this could be an area of stress or whatever. And because I know that you're going to handle it when you say, don't worry about it, like I can actually be like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. It's funny. I was just thinking about, because we had the conversation about around intimacy and the ways that we remember things differently. But I was just thinking about it in the relationship in general and how we both kind of had a different view of how the roles have gone. And it wasn't that I think that we have a different view necessarily, in the sense that, you know, I was thinking about it from we had a time period where we didn't have a relationship that was clearly defined and clearly like, okay, here's our boundaries, here's what we want our relationship to look like, let's stick to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a time period that was a lot of us just having fun and figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that would be a better way to describe what I was trying to describe, though, is since we've done that, we've never had that situation in our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you were looking at it from a whole picture of the entire timeline, since it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I want to date you, right? Like how that's looked.
Yeah.
And part of that is natural progression, right? In the sense of like, well, we went through dating stage and then we went into living together stage and then we went into like, whatever stage. But until, you are right in the sense that until we defined our relationship and what our boundaries were going to be and what our relationship was going to be,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of wild, wild west,
Mm-hmm.
which I think comes with, or I believe, it does come with most relationships until you come up with that clarity. What I will say is that, which I guess is a whole nother topic, right? And we can talk more about that. You wanted to talk about what covenant means to us because we've mentioned it. We mentioned defining it, and that'd be we can talk more about that, about defining the relationship and covenant in another episode. But it is interesting because I never thought about this though until today, right? Like I've never asked you and said, "Hey, this is the role I want you to play and this is how I want you to do it."
Mm-hmm.
But I can say that this coming to this realization today is, like you said, in the sense that, we've once all the things we talk about it's important to define the relationship. It's important to be clear on what your boundaries are. It's important to for the man to step into his role and to handle his stuff because this is what creates a great relationship. And what's funny is we can look at the track record of our relationship and prove that, right? With
Mm-hmm.
receipts. And we can look at other relationships that have done both, right? And we can look at our past relationships that haven't done the things that we talked about and see the results there in the receipts. We can look at other relationships and see, the receipts of either side.
Yeah.
And it's going to go exactly basically the way we say it's going to go. Um, what's interesting about it though is just the fact that it's a testament to when you clearly define a relationship, you clearly define your boundaries, and then the man can step into his role and he does take that and he owns that. So then the woman can step into her role and she can own that. It creates this naturalization, this natural place and state that you both are staying in, where it's like drawing a box with chalk. You got two boxes, you draw on the blacktop with chalk, and you guys can move back and forth in the box a little bit. But for the like you're never crossing that line, right?
Yeah.
And that is one thing that in our relationship now we don't, right? And you don't come play in my side of the box if I'm getting close to that line, right? To try
Mm-hmm.
and but you also have, like you stated, you have that security of like, I'm going to handle it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I got to figure it out. Sometimes I need a little bit of time. At the end of the day, it's going to be handled, and there's not going to be any true detriment to us.
Mm-hmm. I do think that it takes time and like receipts, as you say, for that polarity to just become that like natural state. Because especially if you're coming into trying to do these roles, if there's been a period of time where just say the woman could not trust that the man was going to do what he said he was going to do, like that's going to take time and receipts to get her to a place to be like, oh, okay, he said he was going to handle this, so I trust that he's going to handle this. Like, it does take time and building, but if you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, as you say, like, it's going to happen. And it's just naturally going to happen. Because truthfully, like, until we talked about it tonight, like, I haven't put a ton of thought into this, but like, you're right. I don't feel like I've spent much time, if any, in my masculine in quite a while. I can't necessarily put like oh, this was the last time that happened. Like, I can say like over a year ago, yes, but I can't really give you a time recently that I felt like I was in my masculine. But I also haven't like thought about it, like that's just where we live right now. It does just kind of flow, and it does obviously take work. And I think that's where like learning your communication and how to communicate properly about things is super important. Because while I don't like naturally think, oh, I'm going to step into my masculine if this happens, I know that I need to talk to you about it. And then once we talk about it, it's, like it's going to be fine.
There you go. Now you have more to think about tonight. Glad I could give you that.
Yeah.
On that note, what do they need to do? They need to go do an audit. What energy they're in most cases.
And if you don't know, go back and listen to our podcasts about masculine and feminine energy. I have a feeling that for women, if you're like, I don't know, you're probably in your masculine and you're not really.
Yeah, I'd say that's on both sides. If you can't identify, like if you're like, I don't know, if you're a man or you're, a woman, and you're like, I don't know, you're in the wrong energy. Guaranteed. Yeah. Because like you don't sit, right? And if you're like, well, and you kind of like, if you and your partner beat around the bush too, like, let's be honest, you're not being honest with yourselves, right? You're trying to justify stuff. Like, you can't actually just be like, no, like, this is where I stay, this is where she stays, or this is where I stay and this is where he stays. Like, you're not,
Yeah.
Or you can accurately identify it and you're in the wrong box, at which point you should probably get in the other box. But
yeah, for sure.
That's the starting place, though, is go think that through. Identify where you're at. Maybe talk to your partner about it, but identify where you're at and identify why, because this is a lot of internal reflection on this one and self-work. So identify why you're in that.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of self-work and then relationship work to get to a place of there being these roles that work together. It's not just something that like you're gonna identify and then tomorrow fix it. Unfortunately, that's just not the way that it works. But it's pretty easy to get to if you choose to do the work on yourself and your relationship and make it a priority.
Yep. I agree.
And your relationship will be better for it, for sure.
For sure. All right. On that note, go audit where you're at, think it through, figure out why you're there.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you next time.
Until next time. I was going to say it might be after Christmas, but it won't. We've got one more until Christmas. So.
Yeah, one more.
All right. Well, have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye.